Oneness. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم استخدمنا في خدمة القرآن والإيمان والإسلام بالسعادة والسلامة والصحة والعافية والإخلاص والصبر والسكينة. اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. وصل اللهم على محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه وسلم. والحمد لله رب العالمين. آمين.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well. So today we will be continuing part 24 of the phrase Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of God, the Merciful, the Compassionate. Every week so far we've been kind of further delving into and discussing the comprehensive meaning of this phrase and how it can be a source of mercy or bounty for me, so that when I say it in my practical life, I myself do not say it out of habit, but rather using it as a means to remind myself of my reality as a human being in this universe. So just as a quick summary of what we've been discussing up to this point. So we've been discussing how in the name of God, or one of the aspects of in the name of God, and how the universe says in the name of God in its own tongue of disposition. And we can see that in the way that the things in their states of being, in their impotent states of being, by carrying out duties far beyond their apparent abilities, they are reflecting or manifesting the quality that they are not acting in their own name. So in other words, the ability or power that I see on created things within the universe and on myself, I can see that because of the impotent and needy nature of these things, that these abilities are not coming as a result from the thing itself. So recognizing one's own impotence and poverty being necessary in recognizing this, and gratitude kind of at the end being the only appropriate response I find within myself upon reflecting on my reality and how everything, although despite its needy and its needy nature, is constantly in a state of being given and taken care of and sustained. We've also been discussing how in the name of God, the merciful, the compassion manifests on the different faces of existence. So one being the universe, and then plants and animals on the face of the earth, and also as well as specifically on the face of man. And this being recognizable by seeing the evidence in the universe, the impeccable harmony, cooperation, order and proportion and compassion in the merciful administration of plants and animals on earth. Tying this into the divine compassion on the human being's comprehensive nature, and being a recipient and being able to recognize and being conscious of this relationship. We've also been discussing the manifestations of divine oneness within divine unity. So this means that through divine unity, as in I can see that all creatures within the universe must necessarily belong to one, and they look to one another and they exist. I mean, they look to one and they exist as a result of one, while divine oneness, I can see that the creator of everything is manifesting its qualities in all beings. So all beings together, necessarily pointing to or looking to one, and that within each being is also a manifestation of their creator, and looking to the creator as being the creator of all things. And as some final notes, we've also been discussing how divine mercy being evident in the existence of the universe and all beings through the merciful way in which the endless needs of all creatures are met, and this being kind of a mercy upon mercy for myself, because on one hand I'm having my needs met, but it also saves me from a sense of despair, or an absolute sense of despair, and coming from the pains of unending needs. And it kind of puts me in the center, as far as this divine mercy making me an addressee of the Merciful One. Insofar as I recognize my status as a needing one that is constantly a recipient and one who is being taken care of. And so when I bring it back to myself, all of this being, surely the work of a conscious being, when I look at the universe and myself, and one who knows me just as he knows the needs of all creatures, like maybe a worm underneath the depths of the soil in my backyard, just as its needs are met and the conditions for its life is met and it is given sustenance. Surely the same one is one who knows me, is acquainting me with himself, and I find myself in this sort of mercy calling me to become aware of this reality, and through my needs. So that would be kind of my summary of what we've been discussing, which brings us to the fifth mystery. So we've been kind of discussing, so I think it's during the last two classes, we've been discussing the Hadith. God created man in the form of the most merciful. So this is a Hadith, and this being specifically a response to the Sufi interpretation that considers man's spiritual nature to be in the form of the All-Merciful. So how do I reconcile this understanding? And last week we had also discussed how as a fundamental rule of thumb, a hadith, when reading a hadith, one must place it within the context of its purpose. So I must read it within the framework of the fundamentals of belief. So when I'm trying to make sense of this understanding, I have to make sure that the point that I'm starting from is sound insofar as the purpose of the hadith is concerned. And we had discussed how by looking at the universe, like thinking about, the fact that the Earth is just like a spinning ball in space amongst other stars, constantly in motion, and there are endless particles within the universe. Everything is in a constant motion, being part of this order so wisely and consciously must be consciously employed. Thus, the one who brings about such an order in such a wise manner must have no partner or match or opposite or an equal or form resembling anything within the universe. And but we can try to understand the action of the creator in and his action and attributes in allegories and comparisons, which then leads us to the understanding that man is in a form that displays the divine name of the All-Merciful in its entirety. So in understanding the Hadith, which was God created man in the form of the merciful, understanding that to mean that man is in the form that displays the divine name of the All-Merciful in its entirety. So as the countless innumerable qualities that I see in the created beings all around, including me, of course, manifest the absolute dominicality of my creator. And I think the most fundamental aspect or quality when I think about it is the quality of existence at its core. Since there is not a thing that exists first and foremost that does not reflect the quality of the ever existent one in its own existence by virtue of existing or being given existence. And so along that train of thought, one of the meanings of the Hadith, God created man in the form of the most merciful being, that that man is a complete manifestation of God in a limited created form in a small measure. Or this can be seen in man's created nature, like a limited manifestation of God's qualities. Just as we can also see these qualities within the universe and the earth. So tying all of this together on what we've been discussing the last couple of weeks, together with today's portion of the reading that we're going to delve into. So I actually made a meme that kind of encapsulates one of the main points that we discussed last week, which is basically that everything, if you guys click on the link that I shared there, everything in the universe is given a created form. Everything in the universe is given a created form, and this created form, or everything in the universe that has a created form, has also its own specific form, and everything that has this created specific form are also given these specific forms at the same time. And then just to add another level of another dimension here, they're all changing at all times, continuously being given unique new forms at the same time. So we had emphasized on this, and to that, every human being is given qualities to understand the infinite within the finite. And so within these finite or limited qualities, I can see reflections of the infinite qualities of my source of existence, and thus see these qualities also in created beings. So that would be my summary of last week as well, which now brings us to the ending of the 5th point. And I'm going to see if there's anyone who would just like to read the reading for today, so that we can also hear someone new. And I would be much appreciative if anyone would be willing to volunteer just to read, no pressure whatsoever. So I'll give, yay, Nirvana. Okay, thank you. So today we're going to be reading from the paragraph that starts with the Hadith suggests. So if you can, there we go. So our host here is highlighting the paragraph, so we can read that one, and also the bottom as well. I think we can finish it off. So again, just before you start off reading, the Hadith being God created man in the form of the most merciful, and kind of reconciling this understanding of the Sufi interpretation of man's spiritual nature being in the form of the merciful one. So whenever you are ready, Nirvana, please feel free to start reading. Thank you.
Thank you. I hope everyone can hear me. Okay. The Hadith suggests also that the evidences of the necessarily existent one offered by such proofs, mirrors, and manifestations of the most merciful as animate creatures and man are so certain, clear, and obvious that just as it may be said of a shining mirror which reflects the image of the sun, that mirror is the sun, indicating the clarity of his brilliance and evidence. So it has been said, and may be said, man is in the form of the All-Merciful One, indicating the clarity of his evidence and completeness of his relation. It is in consequence of this mystery that the more moderate of those who believed in the unity of existence said, "There is no existence but he," as a way of expressing the clarity of this evidence and perfection of the relation. I'm going to read that last one again because it's a little confusing. It is in consequence of this mystery that the more moderate of those who believed in the unity of existence said, "There is no existence but he," as a way of expressing the clarity of this evidence and perfection of the relation. O God, O most merciful one, most compassionate one, for the sake of, in the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate, have mercy on us as befits your compassionateness, and allow us to understand the mysteries of in the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate, as befits your mercifulness. Ameen.
Thank you for reading that beautifully. Much appreciated. So I guess, as we delve into this, please feel free to brainstorm or feel free to share any questions that come to your heart and mind, as we're all friends here, reading this together, addressing our own spiritual wounds or human questions. So going back to the Hadith, God created man in the form of the Most Merciful. So in this reading that Nurbanu has read for us, the author seems to be claiming that just as a mirror may reflect the image of the sun shining on it, and one may say that the quote unquote the mirror is the sun, this does not necessarily mean that the essence of the sun is in the mirror, or the mirror and the sun are the one and the same. So that's what I understand. But rather, the saying the mirror is the sun indicates the clarity of the evidence, and proofs, right, of what the author says, the brilliance of the sun. And so this being a sort of evidence of the necessarily existent one, as seen in the manifestations of qualities on human beings, the universe, the earth, and all beings that exist altogether. So I think, on one hand, I think there is still an emphasis on, maybe it's not the main point, but I do feel it's important to just highlight it, at least when I was reading this. There seems to be a commentary on how to interpret Hadith again. So putting it within its proper context and within the context of the fundamentals of belief. But in, I think more fundamentally, as I was reading this, some questions came to my mind as well, which I'll be sharing with you guys now. One question being that, in other words, the mirror is the sun, meaning that, man, quote unquote, man is in the form of the All-Merciful One. Whereas in the literal meaning, the mirror is the sun, implies that they're the same and the one, they're same and one. And the explanation that man is in the form of the Merciful One seems to almost imply that, almost as if the mirror has its own separate entity. So one question that I came up with was, I'm going to post it here. How am I to understand the mirror and the sun analogy insofar as reconciling my own existence along with the necessarily existent one? Because, the author is saying they're not the one and the same, although literally that's maybe what is being implied, but rather he's saying that that man is in the form of the merciful one. So one question that came to my mind was, how am I to understand man being in the form of the merciful one, insofar as the mirror, in the analogy, the mirror seemingly having its own sort of independent existence from the sun. So that was one question I had in mind. So I'll pose that out there, and so as people brainstorm, I'll just move on to other questions we have, and we can kind of address them as people feel that one maybe attracts more of their attention than the other. Another question that I had, which I'm going to post here again, is what does it, just to delve deeper into, what does it mean for man to be in the form of the All-Merciful One? And as a follow-up question to that as well, here's another one. How are we to understand the emphasis on the All-Merciful One in this claim as well? Because it's not just saying form of the Creator, right? So it's kind of tying us back to the Merciful One, which is in the phrase Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So how am I to understand man being in the form of the All-Merciful One in so far as this analogy goes? And I think these questions are related to one another. And also, how am I to understand the emphasis on the All-Merciful One in this claim? And one initial other question that I had was, what does it mean for man specifically to be made in the form of the All-Merciful One to indicate the clarity of his evidence and completeness of his relationship? So, in other words, this is towards the end of the paragraph we read, but how am I to understand the completeness, emphasis on that word, completeness of this relation or connection between man, the human being, and his creator? So I'd like to just kind of take a pause here, just for a moment to see if anyone has any initial thoughts or maybe other questions or comments or something that has attracted their attention. Thank you, Nirvana. Please go ahead.
One thing I think to your first question is like that I can see is there's a sort of like implied clearness in the mirror, right? So the reflection is so like the sun because the mirror is acting in a way that doesn't distort what it's reflecting. And then at the end of the first paragraph here, it says, it is in consequence of this mystery that the more moderate of those who believe in the unity of existence said, there's no existent but he. So even though there is this mirror and our creation is kind of analogous to that, there needs to be some sort of like cleaning or purifying process so we can actually achieve this sort of like reflection, so that when we reflect and people see, like when people look at the mirror and they see the sun, they say the mirror is the sun because the reflection is so clear. But even if the sun is like shining brightly and everything, if the mirror is dirty and disgusting, it's not going to do that. So I would be interested to hear what people think about that sort of like purification, I guess, process, which kind of ends with you being left out of the final picture, right? Because then you realize like there's nothing existent but he, which is also interesting to me. Right.
Thank you. To add on to that, not necessarily as an answer to your question, but just as a sub thought that came about as I was listening to you. You know, last week we were also discussing calamities as natural disasters or, you know, things that I might find unpreferable to myself. And we had discussed how, you know, within the human being, if I contradict myself, my human nature, then I hurt or I find myself in a state of internal pain. So we had also discussed how this sort of quote unquote punishment that I may seem to be undergoing is rather a sort of education and kind of meant to cleanse the corrupted or the corrupted part of my human side that I have corrupted for myself. So essentially kind of going back to the idea of, you know, if my mirror is dirty or I'm morphing it so that it does not correctly reflect, or in other words, fulfill its duty, then I need to undergo a sort of cleansing ritual, if you want to call it that, but a sort of a cleaning of my own mirror to make sure that I fulfill its purpose and I do not reflect things incorrectly. But that's just a sub thought that came to my mind as I was listening to your question. So, is there anyone who'd like to kind of help our friend here, and also everyone else may also share the same question and kind of tackling this question that Nurbanu has posed for us? I mean, there are no wrong answers per se. We're thinking out loud together, and inshallah we can correct one another. So I do see 2 hands that have gone up. So since I'm moderator, I'm going to give precedence to Aishanur and Abdul Rahman, and then host can speak afterwards, inshallah. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. I actually wanted to talk about the second question you had posed. What does it mean for man to be in the form of the All-Merciful One? So I kind of raised the hand too soon. So we can return to that if you know, we kind of want to hear other answers directly related to Nurbanu's question first.
Thank you. Host, would you like to share your comment? Because I have a feeling it's probably related to what we last said. And then we can, inshallah, take on Aishanur's comment. Okay, please go ahead.
So being a host is a disprivileged position. So that's good. I really wanted to let others also speak. I always speak anyways. So you are familiar with my voice. I would like to hear new, fresh voice. Now you said it's a very interesting statement. I wrote it down as if mirror has a separate entity. Yeah, it looks like it, and it is the reality. I understand that in this analogy, that the mirror analogy tries to explain the meaning of the sayings of the prophet. God created man in the form of the All-Merciful One. We understand that mirror in this analogy represents me, myself. I am the mirror. Do I exist? Of course I do. What? Which kind of existence do I have? I am a needy, created person because I cannot create myself. I cannot explain my existence in another way than attributing it to the creator of the universe, because I am created within the context of the universe, perfectly matching to the conditions of the universe. So whoever created the universe must be my creator as well. So as a created being, I have my separate, real existence. So an entity. But now we have to understand that the mirror is not external to me in this analogy. Mirror is myself. You touched upon it, that everybody has his own awareness of his own creation, existence, awareness of his own existence, and awareness of his own qualities. manifested in their existence. So when I use my consciousness, the very prime quality of human beings, being conscious of their own existence, being conscious of their the qualities that they have, they are given in their existence. If I myself have the intention to see my reality, but of course I remember Nurbani's comment that my mirror shouldn't be dirtied. It means I took it, and it is obvious. If I'm wrong, then Nurbanu can correct me. If I attribute some of my qualities to myself, as if they are my own property, belongs to me, I am the owner of it, rather than I am gifted, I am given all of these qualities by the creator of the universe, whoever created the universe. So what I do, I distort reality. It means there is a black dot on the mirror now, because I'm not being realistic. I am not accepting my reality. I am distorting it. So when I look at that black dot, I would see myself rather than the reflection of the light of the sun. That's the analogy. Analogy says this. The mirror reflecting the light, but in the black dot, I wouldn't see the reflected light of the sun. I would only see myself in that self-claim. Does it have a reality? Depends. If you can prove it, that you are the source of existence of your quality, yes, it is a reality. If you cannot, it means you are doing something, or I am doing something wrong. So let's assume that I accepted all my existence, my entire existence is a gift given to me by someone else. So all the qualities I can see within my own entity, within my own mirror, the qualities, manifested qualities of my creator. So if my glass, my mirror is clean with no dot, well, it is very difficult, but let's assume, because when we are talking about the theoretical background, we have to talk about this matter in black and white terms. So black and white means either I accept that I am created together all with my qualities, or I own them. Of course, I cannot claim that I have created anything within myself, but I'm just using them as they are given to me. So theoretically speaking, practically we confuse, I understand, we make mistakes, that's understandable too. So we go back to the correct attitude that all the qualities are given to me by my creator. It means, coming back to the analogy, the mirror analogy, whatever is reflected in the sun, in the mirror, is nothing but the reflections of the light of the sun. So I am, in this case, not claiming that I have a separate entity. Whatever the qualities manifested in the mirror, this is an analogy, all the qualities manifested in the mirror are nothing but the manifestations of the light of the sun. So with this consciousness, with this awareness, the Hadith narration, the sayings of the Prophet refers to this awareness. If you are aware that whatever the qualities are reflected in your existence, you see nothing but only the manifested qualities of your creator. Nothing else. Because you have nothing else left there to attribute to something else than your creator. You cannot attribute them. But if someone mistakenly attributes it to something else, then he will say, of course, something is from the creator, but this part is from me, or totally doesn't reflect any quality of the creator, as in the case of those people who believe that I'm not created, I have no creator. But people can claim this, although to prove it, to demonstrate the evidence of it is impossible. But people can choose not to accept that they are created. So if someone accepts it, he can say, in my own existence, I see nothing but the manifestation of the qualities of my creator. So that is why the last sentence, which also again Nurbani emphasized on the importance of the sentence, I'm reading the last sentence again, and let me see if I can actually this sentence. It is in consequence of this mystery that the more moderate of those who believe in the unity of existence, they say there is one thing exists, nothing else. These people, when they say only sun and its lights exist, nothing else exists, it means there is no, if you go back to the analogy, there is no mirror consists of glass, consists of glass. Yeah, in the universe, in my existence, I don't have any part in my existence which is like the glass of the mirror analogy, and something, some other qualities in the analogy again, lights of the sun, are manifesting themselves in my glass. But I have nothing to claim that I have a glass. It means a separate entity apart from my createdness, which belongs to me. But my creator's qualities are manifesting in it. There's no such claim. I cannot claim that. I have a separate, independent entity. So these people said there's no existent but he. What does it mean? As again, I like that explanation, Nurbani's explanation. She said, if there is no doubt, if there is no dirt, if there is no misunderstanding of one's reality, one's existence clearly demonstrates nothing but the qualities of my creator. It means this saying, I have no other existence at all, but the manifested qualities of my creator. this is the way of expressing the clarity of this evidence and perfection of the relation between me and my creator. It means all my qualities given to me are nothing but the manifestations of the qualities of my creator. I don't have an independent entity from my creator, apart from my creator. Everything is from him. Of course, we have to be very careful. It doesn't mean that I am the creator. No, we have to draw the lines carefully. I am not the creator, but I can say I am nothing but the manifestations of the qualities of my creator. I can say this. That is why in the text it says, that mirror is the sun is, here this part, I hope I can, no, couldn't do it. Okay, this part is important to notice. I see. This one, that mirror is the sun. After having a perfect, complete conviction that my existence is nothing but the manifestations of the qualities of my creator. If I am completely satisfied about this, then I can say that mirror is the sun. It means I am nothing but whatever you see in my existence is just the manifestations of the qualities of the creator. I don't have an independent, separate entity in my existence apart from my creator. Of course, we have to mention here at this stage of reasoning, the manifestation of the qualities of the creator means through my consciousness, I understand that my consciousness realizes the qualities of my creator by using the manifested forms of the qualities of the creator. Again, I will repeat this understanding once more, if not with the same words. When I realize that all the qualities manifested in me are nothing but the creator's manifested qualities, so I have to understand that through my consciousness, awareness, when I think of myself, my own existence, when I think of my own existence, consciousness realizes that these qualities in my existence are given to me in order to understand and realize that my creator is the source of existence of these qualities, although they are manifested in my existence. They are manifested in my existence in order to be used as tools to understand the absolute form of the qualities of my creator. Because mirror can only reflect as much as its capacity the lights of the sun. But even it says, I am the sun, it means whatever the light is reflected in me does not belong to me. That is directly from the Creator. So, or in this example, that is directly from the sun. So within my own manifested, created form, I can say that I am a created sun here. I am a created qualities, manifested qualities of my Creator here. I can say it. I am claiming no separate entity as far as my existence is concerned. So if this case is clear, we can understand that manifestation of the qualities of my Creator, which enables my consciousness to realize who my Creator is, this reality, this manifestation reality of manifestation, is nothing but mercy. Nothing but mercy. Why? Because if I wasn't given the tools to understand, realize that the qualities manifested in me are not the qualities of my Creator, if I wasn't given these tools within my own existence, either I will be completely nonsense, I will have no sense of my existence, I will never be able to explain my existence, I will never be able to understand the purpose of my existence, I will be within a complete lost. I don't know what's going on in me here. I don't understand what I am. I will not be a human being which has consciousness, which questions who he is, where he comes from, where he or she comes from, and what the purpose of its existence in this world. What complete the blunt, the blackness, meaninglessness, I will be left off. That is why it is mercy that the qualities of my Creator are manifested within me, and my consciousness can understand by using these manifested qualities in order to understand and realize who the owner of my existence is. I say I belong to the one who creates the universe, and he also created me within the universe and endowed me in my existence, on my existence, the facilities, tools to understand the meaning of my existence. That is why all the manifestations of the qualities existing within myself, manifestations of the qualities, which my consciousness is aware of their existence, this reality, these manifestations are nothing but mercy, because only through this realization that I make sense of my existence, I know who I am, I know who my owner is, I know where I am going, I know to whom I belong to, whom I belong to, the Creator of the universe. So my existence becomes so meaningful. My existence becomes a source of happiness, that look, I belong to the creator of the universe. And he must have preferred to give me existence and to enable me to know him, so that I will be secure in my existence. If it is not mercy, what is mercy then? Just to give me a plate of food? Okay, I eat it, and next day I'm hungry again, and the following day I will die. This is not real mercy. Real mercy provides me with a permanent, sure, secured, eternal existence, which is given to me because of the eternity, absoluteness of my source of existence. I know I spoke a lot. I'm sorry for this, but that is how I could only, what's going on here? I could only express myself to make the case clear. Thank you.
Thank you. Please, since I'm moderator, you can no longer apologize for speaking too much. Yeah, so I guess my takeaway from your beautiful comments was that as the mirror, I cannot deny my own existence, but in not denying my own existence, I also cannot claim independent existence over myself. So there's a difference between saying I exist and I exist independently, making that distinction. And then second point that I took away was this concept of being a mirror and how this relates to mercy, that if I wasn't a mirror, so I'm just, again, theoretically, just if I wasn't a mirror being something that reflects something else perfectly or has the ability to reflect something perfectly. So in my understanding, a mirror means one who is conscious of what is going on. So if I wasn't a mirror, so if I wasn't something that reflects light, or maybe reflects light to a minimum degree, so something that doesn't reflect light, I wouldn't have the tools to use my consciousness to get to know that which is being reflected on me. So the mercy becomes in my created form as a mirror, with my ability to reflect on my own existence, and I guess like in being able to say I am the mirror, or I'm giving existence as a mirror, so I have this existence, I can thereby say I have been given existence, and this is dependent on the existence giver. So this connection between my created form as a mirror being a sort of tool and mercy, because I have been given consciousness to understand my source as being an absolute being, who is giving existence to me and taking care of me and sustaining me, and feeling secure in my own existence, that I am not just a result of random happenings or meaninglessness, would be my summary. So I know, Aishinur, you had your hand up, but I do see two comments here, actually. One that has been sent to me privately, so I'll just read it, and one that was sent to the public chat. And then if that's okay with you, Aishinur, we can take your question afterwards, because I feel like these questions are related to what's being discussed at the moment before we change subjects. So one person who has messaged me says, how do we make, or maybe I'll just copy paste the question into the public chat so everyone can see. How do we make the deduction that our bad qualities are actually us putting black dots on the mirror, rather than they are also reflections from the same sun? What is the ontology of the goodness or badness in those rays? Is a question a friend asks. So I'd like to pose this question out to everyone else here to see if anyone would like to share any comments. And yes, please go ahead, host.
Now, bad qualities, when we say bad qualities, first of all, it is an excellent question. I really loved it, and I congratulate the one who asked this question. Of course, everybody should ask any question which bothers, or make any comment he or she would like to share. It is a free discussion room. So everybody should express himself, herself comfortably. So it is an extremely beautiful and perfect question, which is the reality of our time, that everybody is bothered about it. What is the bad quality? Now, a black dot is not the bad quality, as if it doesn't have a real existence. Why? It only blocks, prefers not to make it, how do you say, not to let the light reflected in the mirror on that black area. Maybe completely, maybe partially, which is in practical life, it is partial always. No one is 100% black. No one is 100% white. We have some gray areas here and there. Sometimes we say, oh God, you are perfect. Sometimes we say, oh God, you are not being nice to me, complaining about it. So we are not talking about the practical life. Theoretically speaking, any black dot on the mirror is a preference, human free will, not to see the manifested light there. Not that, I hope, it is difficult to make it clear, but I'm trying to make it as simple as possible. Not that in reality, there is a black dot in the or on the mirror. Just only there is a black choice in my eyes not to see it. This is a choice. It doesn't have a reality. It doesn't have a real existence out there. That is difficult. I understand how we can say that although I don't see it, I don't see the reflection of the light in the mirror, in some part of the mirror. That is reality. No, that's not reality. The reality is with my free will. I can choose to see the manifested light, but also I can choose to not to see the manifested light. If I choose not to see the manifested light, that part in my eye, not in the mirror, in my real existence. Mirror represents my real existence, that there is no light there. No, it is still the manifestations of the qualities of my creator. But I don't want to see it. That's why denial is taking place, denial of the truth, taking place within an option of human free choice. I mean, how can I demonstrate it in a physical form? Because human free choice cannot be demonstrated in the physical form. It is not a physical entity, human free choice. If I choose to deny it, I can deny it. But as an example, but just it is just an analogy. Don't misunderstand. It doesn't, represents the reality. No, there is light outside there. If I close my eyes, everything becomes black. But in reality, still there is light out there. But according to my perception, outside is black. But this is only according to my perception. This is the choice of human free will. That is my reality. If I choose to confirm the reality, my mirror reflects the sun, light of the sun, and I can see it. I can see that my human quality, whatever it is, for example, ability to think, is the manifestations of the qualities of the Creator who enabled me with the quality to think. But if I say, no, it is the functions of the neurons, it means I am choosing to attribute the thinking capacity to the neurons of my brain, to the cells of my brain, to the atoms of my brain. Do they really have this quality? You have to demonstrate it. No one can demonstrate it. It is just a claim. For example, if I say to the questionnaire, whoever asked this question, which I loved the question, and also loved the courage of our friend here, ask this question. Of course we have to ask. If I say, you are a liar, do you become a liar in reality? My answer on your behalf, no. If you were not a liar, my claim that you are a liar will remain only as my claim, that I have chosen to blame you to be a liar. That's my choice. In the external existence, there is no such a being like yourself as a liar. That is just something going on within my own free will. That is what human beings are. So wonderful creatures. We can deny the reality, but our denial of the reality doesn't change the reality. It means as if on the mirror, I see a black dot. It is no black dot on the mirror. It is the black dot in my eye. So it reflects there. The eye represents here what? My free will. As I falsely claim that you are a liar, I falsely claim that this ability to think belongs to the atoms of my brain. I can do that. Does my claim make the atoms able to think by themselves, independent of their creators' qualities, manifested qualities in it? Think about it. Can you say that the atoms are the source of existence of thinking, thought, or my feelings? Atoms are the source of my sense of happiness, sense of sadness, fear, hope, whatever. Atoms are the source of them. They are the creators of my feelings. I can claim that, but this claim only my choice, nothing else. But I can choose false, as I claimed that you are a liar. I can choose that. I can accuse you to be a liar, but it never changed the reality, only makes me claim something does not exist. I can do that. I am enabled to choose between right and wrong. So I am enabled to tell the truth, to tell the lie. But this ability of free will is a good thing for human beings, that I can make the distinction between lie and the truth, between reality and non-reality. That is how human beings learn. That is how human beings make progress. That's a very practical question. Everybody wonders about it. How about the evil things are happening? Isn't that God creating the evil? The question always risen or raised by everybody. That is why we frequently refer to this question. We frequently discuss about it, because it is a very widely used claim, if you like, to attribute the bad things, human choices, to God as the creator of bad things. God never creates on the mirror any black dot. It is in my eye. I don't know whether it is any good to clarify your question or not, but I'm sorry if I wasted your time. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. And you're not allowed to say that last sentence again. So I think if the person who asked the question, if you have any response and you'd like to either raise your hand or just send me another private message, I'd be more than happy to share that with the group if you have any follow-up comments. But I think one initial thought.
Excuse me, this person doesn't have to send it to you personally. To send it, he or she can send it to everyone. So we can see it. We don't blame anybody because of their ideas or questions.
Yeah, definitely. You can raise your hand even and just, share your comments. We appreciate it. So I guess one thing that I took away from what was said was there's also a difference between not denying the fact that something is not good. If I claim that you are a liar, right? That claim is not good insofar that I make that claim, and that claim has no reality for me. So it's not a universal evil in the sense that it doesn't mean that you are a liar, because you're not, but rather it becomes a sort of evil for me because I claim it for myself, and yeah. Our friend made a comment here. Thank you. I just happened to write it and it went as a private message, but the explanation was clear. Thank you. So I think we can move forward with Abe's comment. He says, as a mirror, you will know your source only as much as you reflect its qualities. How can you know him in absolute form? Another word, how to come to conclusion of his absoluteness. I guess because I'm a moderator, I'd like to just have others have the opportunity to share their thoughts regarding this question that our friend here has shared. So if anyone would like to speak, please raise your hand. Host can feel free to raise his hand too if he wants to. If not, I guess I can share my 2 cents and others can chime in if they want to. I think, one of the main points that have been made is that I cannot necessarily know the essence of the absoluteness of the creator, because I can only know him insofar as his qualities manifest in a created form. So I think, as far as, if you want to call it, bridging the gap between the creator and the created, it's always going to be infinite in a way, but insofar as my own created is concerned, just going back to the comment that was made, like this consciousness allowing me or being a tool of mercy so that I can understand the qualities, the absolute qualities of my own source of existence. So I think, as a mirror, my duty is not to reflect the essence of the sun, because I cannot do that. I am a mirror after all. But as far as I am concerned, I can only reflect to the degree that I am made to reflect. I'm not sure if that entirely, or in part even, answers your question, but I did see host, your hand was up for a moment there. So if you would like to share your comments, please go ahead.
Okay, now I am privileged. It's a joke, it's just a joke. So thank you. I think this problem, concluding about the qualities of the creator as being absolute, it is by definition. We have to understand this. It means if I am aware that I have been given existence, by definition, I understand that the giver of my existence, the one who gives existence to me, cannot be like me. Because if the giver was like me, he would be a created being as well, like me, needing to be created. So by definition, I have to define the one who is the source of my existence cannot be like me. The absolute is a term which no one can describe it, like infinite. No one can describe it. It means it is undescribable. If I am created, the creator cannot be like me, and the creator is undescribable. Undescribable means absolute, or absolute means undescribable. It means I know the numbers are finite, but numbers are finite, but there must be a source of numbers as related to our example. Everything is created. There must be a source of creator, a source of creation, which is called the creator. So theoretically we say, these numbers are finite, but there must be an infinite. Theoretically we say this. Infinite means, literally also, infinite means not finite. That's so simple. Not finite. Absolute means not created. Again, because this question is very frequently asked, absolute means not created. Doesn't need to be created. But the creator, no one can describe the creator, because any created being like me and yourself and the one who asked the question, we can only think of any concept within the limitations of createdness. But the creator cannot be thought of within the limitations of createdness. This absolute or infinite means not to be thought within the conditions of createdness. That's so simple. It means negation. Absolute means not limited, not finite, not created, infinite, absolute, not created, but the creator. Absolute means. So as if the questionnaire, our friend Akabe asked this question, as if we are able to talk about infinite. We cannot talk about infinite. It is just by definition. Please understand this. It is just by definition. It means you cannot define it. You cannot define the creator within the conditions of any created being, within the conditions of the universe. That is so simple. Please, as if when I say absolute, or somebody says absolute, as if he is defining absolute. Absolute is undefinable. That means undefinable. Please understand this. Absolute means undefinable by human beings. But we conclude, our consciousness conclude that such a being must exist, but I cannot define that being. But such a being might exist. For example, very simple, I am created, so I must have a creator. I am created within the context of the universe. So I must have a creator who must be the creator of the universe. That is for sure. That is for sure. So, excuse me. That is for sure. I must be created, so I must have a creator. How can I define it? I say the creator cannot be like the created beings. This is the term absolute, means this, cannot be like the created beings. So simple. So when we say absolute, it doesn't mean that we are defining absolute. That is why if somebody says we are defining absolute, then the question, the person, Agabe, is legitimately will be, or the Agabe will legitimately ask the question, okay, define the absolute for me. But no one says this. No one who says I am created can say that I am created by a created being. A created being cannot be the creator by logical conclusion. Just because if it was the creator, it wouldn't be created. If it is created, it means it needs to be creator. It needs a creator who created that being, whatever it is. It is so obvious that created beings cannot be the creator. Anything which needs to be created, it means is not created. That's why it needs to be created. That's human logic. Very so simple. Very simple to me, and very clear. I spoke a lot. I hope it may have a little bit, it may be of help a little bit. That's my hope. Okay, thank you. Although it's a good question, but we need to deal with difficult questions, of course. Good question, but everybody says, how do you know God? I know he exists. I don't know him because I can know only what is created. God means, by definition, is the creator. The creator cannot be created. That's so simple. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comment. If Abe has any follow-up questions or comments, you can let me know by either raising your hand or making a comment. It reminded me of like the question one may ask, like, show me God within the universe, as if implying that God, if God can be shown within the universe, then it kind of goes against its definition. So I have to make sure that I have my definitions down correctly in my understanding. There's another comment that was addressing Abe's question, I believe. It says, cannot know absolute form, can only know that it must be as it be as a as its reflection is upon the mirror of the self. The more I know myself, the more I appreciate how incomprehensible absolute is. I think that makes sense along the lines of what was spoken about before. So I'm just going to move on to the next question our friend has asked here. He says, I would think that we can only ponder in what he is like in absolute form, and we would never be sure if we, quote unquote, truly knew him. We could only know to the extent that he makes himself or herself known, unless he himself explains to us. How can the created know the creator? Can the particle ever find out about the nature of the whole by just reflecting? So I do think that this comment fits along with what's been said, and I take this more as a elaboration rather than a question in and of itself to the question that was posed before. But yes, the created being can only know or be made to know insofar as its own created limitedness goes. And by definition, since it is a created being, there's always that restriction, but it can know to the extent that it has been given the consciousness and the tools to reflect with the mirror analogy. So I know we only have a couple of minutes left. If anyone has any comments regarding this topic, you can go ahead, but I do want to take Aishinur's question, who has been very patient this whole time, so I appreciate that. Aishinur, would you like to share your question from earlier?
Assalamu alaikum. It was already answered, but yeah, this was a beautiful discussion and conversation, and I really benefited from it. Especially Brother Ali touched upon it in one of earlier on in the discussion, in that I was thinking about the relationship between mercy, because these last several months, that's what we've been talking about, mercy, right? And I was thinking about how I find myself with qualities given to me, and I find myself with the ability to form relationships. I can form relationships with the birds outside, their chirpings, the sunlight, grass, greenery, especially in the summertime, alongside all the human feelings and qualities that I find to be given to me, and how all of these become opportunities for me to connect myself to the absolute source. All of these become opportunities for me to realize that I have been created and that I am being given existence. And all of them become opportunities for me to communicate with my creator. And in that, I think it becomes very clear that all of these qualities, all of these abilities to make relations are a complete manifestation of mercy and the All-Merciful One. So that was just one aspect of how I was trying to understand what it means for man to be in the form of the All-Merciful One. And again, this beautiful discussion today, this Saturday morning, has helped immensely for that. Thank you.
Thank you for your concise but very helpful summary and your takeaways. I think it kind of ties us back to our initial topic, our discussion here about Bismillah initially. So that sort of um, trying to keep that sort of mindfulness when I say in the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate, um, as I, do things in my practical life, being conscious of the fact that everything is given to me, that I'm a recipient, and in doing things, all of these qualities look to the absolute one who is making himself known to me through my experiences so that I can feel secure in my existence, so that I can feel secure um, in my existence, yeah, um, as a recipient of the Merciful One. I do see, Brother Ali, your hand is up, so I think we can take your comment and inshallah end the discussion.
I am aware that we are left 1 minute, but it is over as well. So very quickly, we cannot comprehend the Creator. After reading the comments, I said there is a need to mention this. We cannot comprehend the Creator, not because we have limited mind capacity, not because we have limited capacity. We have to understand this because we are created. Even our brain, as some so-called scientists say, develops after billions of years to become a huge brain, comprehensive of everything in the universe, cannot comprehend the Creator because we are created beings. Not because our eyes, the example is given, is a false example. We have to be aware of the wrongness or the mistaken of this example. So wrong example, you cannot look at the eye, look at the sun. I'm sorry, I'm confusing. We cannot look at the sun because it's so bright. No, but the capacity of the eye can be adjusted to see the sun. You can use some sort of darkened lens or something, and then you can look at the sun. Because sun is created, you are created. You can adjust because you are at the same level of existence. But it is a very, very wrong example. But when it comes to the Creator, we can never, ever imagine it. We can never imagine it. Why? Because the Creator's existence is nothing to do with the createdness's existence or the existence of the created beings. It's nothing to do with it. Not because of the capacity that we are not given the ability to think of the Creator, to imagine the Creator. No. As long as we are created, and the created, the level of existence of the created has nothing to do with the level of existence of the Creator. It's a big discussion. Historically also, scholars argued about it. And we understand from the reminder of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, he said, don't think of the Creator. Don't imagine the Creator, but imagine his manifested qualities in the created form. That is an excellent guide. How I am supposed to use my qualities. Look at my own existence, look at the existence of other things, and look at the qualities manifested in them and say, the source of these qualities must exist and cannot be limited within the conditions of createdness. Within the conditions of createdness. In order to be a creator, one must be a creator. Nothing to do with the createdness. That is why we conclude that the universe, the created beings, definitely need a creator, but created beings can never, ever be able to imagine the creator because his existence is not of the nature of createdness. But I can only imagine the createdness. Thank you.
Thank you, Aishanur. I do see your hand up. If you can keep it to a minute, please go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. I will try to be very quick. I just wanted to make a comment. So maybe a summary or just how I found this discussion very practical to myself. I was first thinking, is man truly created in the form of the most merciful? I would say this is in complete opposite of generally the idea of humans that we have. It's, humans came onto this earth, now they're polluting it, they're ruining it. All the injustices we see, all the hardships we see, all the wrongs we see, generally it's humans doing it to other humans. Humans for me are like a way to see injustice, to see wrong, to see oppression. This is generally the idea. It's like to see greed, to see all these vices. And then here I have something that's saying the complete opposite. It's saying, man is in the form of the most merciful. I'm like, are you serious? Like, is this true? I'd love it to be so. I truly love it to be so. Like, for me, one of the biggest despairs I have is when I can't see another human as, reflecting a mercy on me. Like a mother that reflects mercy is one of the most beautiful things for me, but other humans that reflect injustice or wrong, or they're inconsiderate, or they're unkind, or they act wrongly, these are sources of pain for me. So as I was thinking about this and all your comments, I was thinking, how can I then see these as a form of mercy? And as was already said, I think it comes down to the quality that, it's kind of telling you, like this hadith is telling you, to not seek for the mercy in the humans themselves, not in their interactions with each other, like in like the horizontal plane, but rather see the absolute mercy behind their actions, to look at the absolute one. So it's not in how the interactions they like from one human to another and how they look to like gaining wealth or other things like in this world, but rather what are the qualities that are being manifested there? What do these qualities point to? And that is like the plane I need to, or the perspective I need to have. And when I can look at the world this way, it becomes much easier and much more joyful for me. And then I can see mercy.
Thank you for your beautiful comment, Abdul Rahman. A very practical question with a answer that makes sense, at least to me. I'm not sure if that's a new hand. It's just a continuous hand that's up. But inshallah, thank you all for joining us today, and apologies for going over time. Alhamdulillah, it's been a very beneficial discussion for me at least, and inshallah we can end here. Assalamu alaikum.
H-Base at the moderator, can you say the closing prayer? Would you mind?
If Abdul Rahman would like to do it, I'd like to volunteer him. Inshallah. So his voice can be heard last. Thank you.
سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعواهم الحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam. See you next Monday and Saturday, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.